Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we're going to be playing with 8 Mulch. Wait, 12 Mulch? Chaz Hendricks from my Discord has submitted a rather interesting treasure hunt 8 Mulch deck list. So, in case you're not familiar with the general idea of this deck list, both Winding Way and Mulch function the same way. You reveal the top 4 cards of your library, and you get all of the land cards into your hand. The rest go into your graveyard. And we are playing a lot of lands in this deck list. We are going to be playing 33 lands in this deck list. So cards like Treasure Hunt, Winding Way, and Mulch are going to draw a lot of cards on average. And then we are going to use our cards like Manabond and Exploration to put these things into play ahead of schedule. There are some defensive lands in the deck list, like Maze of Ith and the Tabernacle at Pendrell, but generally speaking, we are looking to win with Field of the Dead. And one of the easy ways you can do this is just get a whole bunch of cards into your hand, have a mana bond trigger at the end of turn, and dump like 5 or 6 lands into play, and all of those entering at the same time will trigger the Field of the Dead, giving you those zombies. The plan B for this deck list is Uro, which is a relatively powerful legacy card. And technically, there's also a plan C of like trying to recur Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance, and make a bunch of spirits, but that's probably not super realistic as a win condition. As far as the sideboard goes, almost all of it is anti-combo. Like, this deck is meant to grind through the traditional resources of a control or mid-range deck using Field of the Dead and very ridiculous card draw engines. So our sideboard needs tailored towards beating those graveyard-focused decks, towards beating those artifact combo decks, and the various other spell-based combo decks like TES and the Epic Gamble, all those sorts of things that try to cast a bunch of spells quickly. Couple of quick notes on my thoughts about the deck list before we get going here. I'm unsure if these cards are going to be consistent enough to be good. There are only a couple of actual red sources in the deck list, and I considered cutting the red to make the mana base more stable. But because you want to have a bunch of different land names for Field of the Dead, cutting the red didn't actually improve the mana base that much. It would allow me to get a regular island in addition to a snow-covered island in the deck, but then from there, I start having to look at lands with more downsides. So, for example, like I already threw a breeding pool into this deck list just to get another fetchable green-blue source that can sometimes enter play untapped. And this is something that doesn't traditionally get played in Legacy, but like we have a very good reason to want that there. And from here, if I wanted to fit in like 1 to at least 3 more other like cards that are going to produce the colors of mana that I want, I might have to start making some unusual and potentially suboptimal mana based choices that ultimately left me okay with keeping the red in the deck list. But I didn't run numbers to see like what proportion of the time am I actually gonna have like one of these plus a red producing land in the first 3 turns or something like that. I have a feeling they're not as good as I want them to be, so I'm just like not gonna look at it. But yeah, I am playing this deck list with very few changes. There were a couple of cute things in the deck list that I took out. There used to be 1 endurance in the main deck, and as a singleton, I didn't really like that. I didn't think it would be super consistent, and I thought I would discard it to mana bond too much of the time. And there was originally 1 Seed of Innocence in the sideboard, but I've upped that to 3. Anecdotally, I've just been seeing a whole lot of artifact combo in the leagues that I've been playing, and so I wanted to be really well prepared for that. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the league. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm planning on doing a giveaway at 15K, and I'm getting pretty close. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. That's the easiest way to support my content for free. If you want to throw some money at me because you love my content, there's lots of ways to do that, ranging from Patreon to a donation deck list, and all that information is available in the video description. Let's put some lands into play. Let's put a lot of lands into play, actually. Okay, round 1 opening hand here does not actually have the green mana I need to get going, so unfortunately this one is going to have to be mulligan. Whereas this hand, fine. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to pitch the red source that we don't necessarily need in a game 1 scenario, and we're going to hope to just, like, either do cool shit with Uro that we'll need 1 more blue or green source for, or top deck one of our 12 draw cards that really lets us start going ham. Alright, we are potentially playing against elves here. Oh, we are playing against the Gak. Hogak. So our opponent here is going to look to get some sweet. Ooh. Well, they're gonna miss on that Cabal. Okay, they're not gonna go for the Cabal therapy yet. How unbeatable is a Tabernacle? Probably pretty gross. Do I wasteland my opponent? So, like, every single time my turn starts off like this. Every single time. So it's just a question of, like, do I wasteland or do I find a defensive card now? I think I'm gonna wasteland to slow my opponent down. I'm not sure how correct that is, but if I leave my opponent with 0 lands and I do actually get to just, like, wasteland them into oblivion, like, wasteland plus Tabernacle is a real win condition here. The fewer chances I give them to actually use their mana, the better for me. Going to 19, opponent does not have an immediate follow-up. That's fine. Uro is going to take over this game. Let's go land, Uro. Start is looking strong. And draw my card, gain my life. Nice, put my land into play. I will pay the life for that, I think. Yeah, I also just do have Bojuka Bog in this deck list. Although getting Bojuka Bog takes me off of casting Uro, so, like, I maybe don't want to do that immediately. That's fine. Does Vengevines in graveyard. Okay, my opponent has a Hogak that they're about to cast, but I can keep both of these Vengevines from getting into play. Crop rotation away this one. Bojuka Bog. This saves me 8 life this turn. And then I'll have to, like, find a Maze of If to deal with the Hogak or something like that. I've got a Mulch, so I get to... Cool. That is sweet. Oh, yeah. 2 mana, draw 3 cards. Do I still have a fetchable untapped? Of course. I have Forest and No Covered Forest and Island. Yeah, I do. I also have, like, bulks and stuff. Okay. So that means I can go 1 fetch. Grab a bulk, I guess. 2 Snow Covered Forest. Uro. Mulch. Treasure Hunt. Crop Rotation. Island. Misty. Done. Uro lets me get another land drop into play, which gives me the Caracas, which is just absolutely disgusting. My opponent has said, yay, spice. I was waiting for it. I have delivered. The spice floweth. Okay. So, I don't know exactly what my opponent's long-term plan here is going to be to just, like, beat this insane card advantage engine. Yeah. Oh, what a bog. What a bog. Like, the bog followed by that top deck rip. Just disgusting. Okay, so for this matchup, I have 4 endurances and 2 surgical extractions that I can play. And then I have to decide what comes out here. It's not crop rotation because that finds Bojuka Bog. Probably go down a land or 2 pretty safely. Let's pull out that red land that I don't need. From there, it, like, does get a little bit harder to tell. I have 30, 32 more lands. Probably pull 1. Maybe Taiga or Volk? Question mark. Actually, I guess... No, the basics matter for fetches. A green hips matter a lot, so I can't cut any green sources. I can't cut Caracas. I can't cut Maze or Tabernacle, I don't think. Maybe I cut 1 Wasteland. I want to get to a higher mana count in this matchup. And then maybe I go down on some Treasure Hunt or Life from the Loams, or which. Treasure Hunts get a little. I'm pulling a few lands from the deck, but I'm not sure if Treasure Hunt or Life from the Loam is better. They do different things. Unfortunately, this is another hand that does not have the starting green mana source. So I will go ahead and mull that. Whereas this hand looks pretty good. Manabond's not good on turn 1, but it's pretty good later. I get, like, Finding Way, Wing. The other cards might just be more important in the short term. Get rid of the Loam here. And note, I am keeping this hand knowing that Maze of Ith is not necessarily a mana source right now. I just have so many lands in my deck. I am okay with that. We're gonna play a Mana Bond to set myself up for later. Not be using it. That's the plan. There's another viable line, which is like crop rotation for Yavimaya this turn, so that Maze of Ith can turn into a mana producing force. Ooh, that's not something that I was necessarily expecting. Okay. I just play a Winding Way and try to do some combo-y looking things here. Bojuka Bog doesn't seem super necessary right now, but like it very much could become necessary. Kind of like holding up the crop rotation for this turn cycle just in case. But maybe it's just better to attempt to just or YOLO an Uro into play. All right, let's see where this goes, and then I can make my decision from there about whether or not it will be worth it. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different names. I need 7 different names for Field of the Dead. I don't think I'm gonna vomit these into play yet. I think I'm gonna wait and try to make that happen. But we are very close to, like, air quotes, the combo. Okay. Stitcher Supplier could mean that I get punished for not holding up Bojuka Bog. I do have crop rotation, so like that's a thing. Yeah, like Tabernacle plus Maze of Ith starting to look real good here. Take 6 this turn. Yeah, that's kind of gross. Ooh, and there's more. Sure. And Hogak. Wow. Yeah, Tabernacle sounding great. What's my optimal way to do this? Fetch with Misty, play Uro, use Uro to get an additional land drop. Use that land drop to cast crop rotation. Yeah, that's probably it. Alright. Fetch. Bulk here. There's Uro. Put in a green source with this. Endurance, you're a turn late. Sacrifice that. 5, 6 different names. Guess I have to just crop rotation now in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish. Grab like forest here. Forest, crop rotation. I think I'll just stack like an island. Grab Tabernacle. If I'm discarding these anyway, actually, I guess I should go to the end step and put that trigger on the stack at the end step. Pitch, cast, and endurance. Take those 2 cards out of your deck. Or rather, I'll take those 2 cards out of your graveyard. Yes, I will use Manabond's ability. So I have generated many triggers. I'm going to auto yield do a lot of these. All of them, even. And we'll kind of see which ones my opponent ends up paying for. Hierarch's gone. Oh, Stitcher Supplier is staying. Sort of interesting. And a Hierarch is gone. Okay, so I killed 2 creatures. Still taking a lot of damage this turn. And, like, Grist is very much a real thing as well. I'm hoping I can just kind of hit big next turn and then create enough zombies to finish off my opponent from there. Like I can draw one of my 8 Mulch effects. I can draw a Wasteland type card. Riot Arbor, Old Tabernacle. Exploration is a whiff. I cannot get Uro back. If I maze this, opponent can keep 4 things. That's 1, 2. If I maze this, I take 7 damage, and then... Okay, right. They do have creature cards in their graveyard. Yeah. That's unfortunate. I didn't have too many total whiffs there, but that was one of them. Okay, so how do I feel on like Life from the Loam versus Treasure Hunt? Guess that's kind of my big thing here. If I discard my hand with Mana Bond, Life from the Loam is better than Treasure Hunt in that capacity. I'm gonna go ahead and resubmit as is. On turn 2, this just Mana Bonds a crap ton of lands into play if I want it to. But like, the deck has no gas after that. I keep this? I don't think I keep this. This one at least has a Field of the Dead. I don't know. I don't really want to go to 5. Guess I keep this. I'm just like not excited about it. It potentially gets very good if I rip certain cards. Like if I rip a Mulch effect and then I just have like a full hand and I get to vomit stuff into play with Field of the Dead. Like that's super cool. But it's possible this one needs to go back as well. I don't even know if I Mana Bond on turn 2. And I don't have a green card currently to pitch for Endurance, but I think I have to keep all of the lands. My opponent has an Endurance of their own. That's fine. They probably name like one of the Mulch effects here. Yeah. All right. That, as expected. I do like opponent's line there. Okay. So now it becomes a question of like, do I hold for Mana Bond or do I just vomit cards? Like if I hold, I have Exploration pitch to Endurance, which I kind of like. This is tough. I think I'm going to hold this to pitch, and I think I'm going to put that Dead into play tapped just so I don't have to deal with that in the future. I'm not currently feeling too great about my position. Also, just like unsure if I'm even supposed to make a land drop this turn or if I'm supposed to just hold towards Mana Bond, vomit zombies into play. I just don't know what's correct in that regard. All right, Satyr Wayfinder. What all are you revealing? Yeah. So this is where I can pitch this Endurance and clear their graveyard of that Vengevine. Still do succeed in that. Goodbye, Vengevine. But then I'm kind of running on empty. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4 lands, and I need 7 different names. Opponent named a little chat. All right, come on, Mulch effect. No. All right, am I holding for Mana Bond? Feel like I'm holding for Mana Bond, but like this is just 4 different names. It's awkward if my Mana Bond randomly eats an Assassin's Trophy and I'm behind on land drops for trying to like play towards a winning line. Ooh. Oh, like I cleared opponent's graveyard, so like they don't have the most cards in graveyard or anything, but like this represents a Dryad Arbor to be the second creature. Get wrecked, Hogak! Never didn't have it! Gotta play that now. Alright, goodbye. 1, 2, 4, 5 different names. Keep holding. Probably be a lethal or damn near lethal amount of zombies if I can actually make it work. Alright, we got some red mana over there. Okay, it is Grist again. Ooh, and they milled a Gravecrawler with that activation. That is some sick value. Love that for them. And yeah, there it goes. While I'm not like immediately in range of death or anything, like ha 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 ha. Okay. I love drawing my Field of the Dead, so that's why there's 4 of them. However, I'm scared. I'll pass a turn. No, I do not want to use my Mana Bond's ability. Give me a Mulch. Please give me a Mulch. Let me out zombie my zombie opponent. I need it for morale reasons. I also think I'm about to get gacked. Oh? Okay, Endurance is fine. My opponent just leaving my Endurance in my graveyard. Now am I gonna get gacked? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, now I am getting gacked. Haven't done the math yet, but I expect to be dead next turn. If I can't produce zombies via these Field of the Deads or otherwise do something really cool. Okay, this is it. This is it. Alright, Winding Way. I need you to do some cool shit here. Choose land. Okay. We're gonna move to our end step. Manabond trigger. Yes. I have a few zombies. And I get to make more with wooded foothills as well. Alright, we have gotten the GGs from the opponent there. Uh that was that was a nail biter. Like I was actively playing towards that by holding the lands in my hand, which like if I was just playing out my lands, I don't know that I would have made enough zombies to win that. But like I needed a Winding Way effect that draw or I was dead. Okay, match 2. I'm gonna keep my opening hand here. I have a mana bond that I am not going to use immediately, but after I maybe cast one treasure hunt, it will probably feel pretty good to do so. I'm gonna be a little sad if mana bond just gets countered. Or sorry, not countered, hit by like a prismatic ending. That's not happening. I'll cast Treasure Hunt, and then depending on how good my hand is, / how many land drops I hit, I'll get a feel for whether or not I just want to Mana Bond immediately. Alright, I have to play this one. Let us hunt for some treasure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards here. I can Mana Bond and dump basically all of these into play, but I can also just like do that next turn. I think I'm just going to discard one Wasteland here rather than dump all of that directly into play. Um, if my opponent's playing some sort of like show and tell deck, I want to have the Maze of Ith available. Let's play a round of Days. I didn't run the math to see whether Treasure Hunter Winding Way draws more cards on average. That's something I probably should have done before this league started. I'm gonna take the Winding Way here. Let's take the Winding Way. Use land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in hand. I'm just like looking for a Field of the Dead to air quotes combo off. And I don't have a Life from the Loam or anything here, so I think I will just discard again. No to Mana Bond. You discard this one, a Trop or something. Actually, I can probably safely discard the Tabernacle. That, like, this doesn't feel like a Tabernacle matchup to me. Maybe I get punished by my opponent emptying the Warrens or something, but okay, there is a Dark Ritual. Oh shit, it's Chain of Smog combo. Oh yeah, we just fucking died. Yeah, not much to be done about that, and they are targeting themselves. Yep, okay. That's no good. Ah, okay. So I have 6 cards that I can consider here. I honestly don't know if I'm supposed to sideboard or if I'm just supposed to, like, ram back the game 1 deck. Maybe with a couple minimal changes. So I potentially want to keep the Tabernacle if my opponent has Sedgemoor Witch combo, but they might just be playing like the Jax, like Turbo Smog deck list, and I don't remember if that plays Witch. So maybe let's cut those defensive cards. That gives me at least 2 slots for some of the sideboard stuff. I think I like the Flusters. Mind Break Trap's okay. I don't know that I need Bog. I also don't know that I want to cut like too many lands. Maybe I'll just play 1 Mind Break Trap. Maybe I do one of these and I just cut one other random card. Crop rotation doesn't seem super potent here. Yeah. And then do I just want to keep a couple of these as lands over crop rotations? Like, I don't actually have that many good crop rotation targets, and I'm hoping to just naturally find a Field of the Dead with all my card advantage rather than crop rotation for it. Yeah, okay. Keep the Bog in there. And I think I want to be blasting random cantrips. Maybe I will keep 1 crop rotation. Okay. Yes, I will keep this hand. There's a lot of worlds where I end up just discarding this Mind Break Trap. When I try to just, like, air quotes, go off with Mulch. My opponent kept on 6. Mana Bond. not be using that immediately. And we'll see what sort of nonsense my opponent is capable of. Okay, just cantripping. That's fine. I kind of expect them to cantrip for like 2 turns before going off. Okay. Play an Otawara. Cast a Mulch. Oh, no. That sure is awkward. I mean, that's going to happen with variance-based cards, right? I accept. Like, we're going to draw 4 with those effects plenty of times, but that also means we're going to whiff some as well. The sad thing here is that, like, now my opponent knows that they need to play around Mindbreak Trap. I revealed that. That's the real downside here. Yep. Oh, they just went for it. Yeah, I just showed you a Mindbreak Trap. I think you just split that up over 2 turns and win the game. Very happy with my opponent's misplay there. Okay, there is an Uro. Of note, it's not a misplay if my opponent just has a second Chain of Smog and they can just try again next turn. Yeah, I think I'm fine with just putting a tapped land onto the battlefield at this point. Have, like, Uro Escape to think about. And we'll see if my opponent has another one. Alright, let's use that. My opponent didn't shuffle, which is concerning to me. I take 2 and go to 19. I'm not worried about, like, chip damage because of Uro. I'm worried about getting comboed off, though. Opponent opting not to do anything here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'm gonna. There's a random black removal. Well, I don't want my creature dying. I guess I will go ahead and start with this. Knocks my opponent off of easily casting Chain of Smog as well. But this does play into my Uro getting dazed. Like, maybe I'm wrong in that. Limb Duel's Vault. I feel like I just say no to that. And have a slightly more awkward turn. Or I don't get to put my Uro into play. Right, so I already played my land drop. I can't bring back Uro now. You know what? Yeah. I will just go ahead and dump that into play. I'm not very likely to die this turn. Like, opponent has 3 cards after they draw. They need Black Source and Chain of Smog. I have neither currently. 1, 2, 4, 5. This is 6. Blue. I guess there's very few reasons not to just play this now. It's like there's a weird double daze scenario. Alright. Green, green, blue, blue. And then I can just take out 5 of the non-creature spells to do this whole Uro thing. Alright, Uro. Yeah, I'll put a land onto the battlefield. Alright, now we're in Field of the Dead territory. I will upkeep, destroy one of my opponent's lands. I don't need to do that my end step. Yeah. Blow up Trop. Again, opponent needs Black Source plus Chain of Smog. And they didn't have Black Source last turn. Okay. Double Witherbloom Apprentice is kind of scary, but I hopefully just do better than that with my resources. Alright, Uro. Draw me some fun stuff. That's some fun stuff. I will put a land onto the... Actually, no, I don't put a land onto the battlefield, right? Because I just, like, do it at end step in case I hit more Field of the Deads with Winding Way. That's correct not to. Alright, opponent takes a good bit of damage there. I will cast a Winding Way. Using land. Oh, buddy. That's exactly the line I was playing towards. Yeah, I'll use Manabond's ability. Not like to pay 2 life. I would like a very large number of zombies. Jukabog, target you, make roughly infinity zombies, and put opponent to the test. Like, draw one of the remaining 3 Chain of Smogs or game. Now, it can happen, and there's hooters, but I don't know that my opponent... Yeah. Disgusting. So, for the game on the draw, do I want the Pyroblasts and Red Elemental Blasts or, like, Limb Duel's Vault? I don't know that I do. Like, because on my turn 2, most of the time, I do need to tap out for the Mulch or Winding Way. This is largely a race. How many actual reds I have? I have 10. The red source matters on turn 1 a lot, and turn 2. Like, I have an acceptable amount of red source that I think. Life from the Loam just too slow? Maybe Life from the Loam is too slow. I could buy that. Now that I know about Limduel's Vault, which is just like a tutor for their missing combo piece, I think I'm good with this. This hand has to go back. It has no initial green source. My opponent takes a mulligan as well. This one also has to go back. It has no initial green source. One's fine. Just a question of like Manabond versus Exploration for the keep. I think it's Exploration since I have some counter spells that I can draw. Junk like Manabond Misty here, I guess. Just in terms of raw resources, I imagine my opponent is favored here. See, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm also supposed to take the Mana Bond and just, like, ignore my counter spells and say, like, I'm trying to kill you with Field of the Dead with this hand quickly as possible. That might have been a mistake on my end. We'll see. Yeah, I think I do cast the Exploration, though. And that to play Waste. And my opponent off a mana source. And next, that's an example of where the Exploration was, like, very clearly better than the Mana Bond. If that Wasteland has a rip. Sure, that's all fine. And that's bottom there. That's what I want to see. I'd probably play the untapped land to play the treasure hunt. And then see where that goes. Hell yeah. Second land drop. Wasteland you again. And next turn I potentially play Winding Way into Manabond and win the game the following turn. Okay, opponent is still hitting land drops. Is thinking about casting something second main phase. I'm going to go ahead and play out Otawara as my land drop for turn. Well, rather as my first land drop for turn, but I can foster if I need to. Winding Way. Use land. Oh, that's a lot of lands. I think I just drop my Flusterstorm, play Mana Bond, make a bunch of zombies, and try to kill my opponent. That seems fine. Fetch an untapped green source of some kind, maybe forest. Grab a Mana Bond. To end step. Yes, to Mana Bond. Drop these things. There's a couple of Dark Ritual based lines that I can do here for dropping the Flusterstorm. But, like, this is 8 power in play and is probably a 2-turn clock. Any land drop turn a 2-turn clock, so I think I'm good with that. It takes Black Land, Dark Ritual, Apprentice, Chain of Smog to kill me. Like, it takes 4 very specific cards, and after I've double wastelanded my opponent and made their mana more awkward, I think I'm okay. See, like, oh, shit. Okay, yeah, this is an alternative line. Dark Ritual, Simian Spirit Guide also gets my opponent there. Yeah, maybe I was greedy. Like, two-turn clock seems good to me. But yeah, that does kill me for dropping the Flusterstorm. Ah, alright, GG's. Okay, round 3, I've kept my opening hand here. I'm a little light on actual mana-producing lands, but I don't know that I'm actually too about that in the grand scheme of things. I am worried if the Exploration gets killed before I get at least one more land drop, but such is life. Okay, force pitching Days Undoing. Could be playing against the Days Undoing Stompy deck, or we could be playing against a more traditional control deck. My opponent's land drop will probably tell us that. Alright, so we are playing against a control deck of some kind. I don't really want to draw that with Field of the Dead. Awkward. But that's okay. Let's try to get some lands. This is a time where I'd almost name creature to find an Uro if I had the blue source. Woo, that's a lot of lands that I can't cleanly dump into play. Alright, no end step fetch or anything. See where my opponent's... Oh! Wonder if that means there is Kitten combo in here. I'm just going to confirm. Uro is the only creature, right? So this is just a tutor for an Uro. Or sorry, this... sorry, I was mixing up text with Treasure Hunt, conceptually in my head. Confrontation's pretty bad against counter spells here. If they have anything I want a confrontation for. I'm not even sure that I'm supposed to play this because I'm going to end up discarding cards so much of the time. I'm going to play a Field of the Dead and like get that tapped land out of the way and pass. Okay, we are seeing some movement from my opponent. See like how broken this thing is. Okay, that is mana acceleration for Hull Breacher, which is scary because if my opponent Days Undoings, I feel dead, and my Seiju is not going to save me. Okay, they don't have more mana at least as of right now. I could both Seiju, try to fuck with their lands a little bit, but I don't really feel like that's great. I also don't feel good about casting a counterspell and setting myself back on mana. Is Winding Way the bait spell here? I think Winding Way is my bait spell. Successful bait. Although, kind of, right? Because, like, you know, Exploration have been countered by Flusterstorm. Let's play maybe this as my land drop. It still represents. Play this as my land drop. Now drop an Exploration. Round Days, and assuming that resolves, I'll play a Maze of Ith as my bonus land drop. But I stop taking chip damage from a Hull Breacher. And now next turn I get to start making zombies. Maze of Ith does currently produce mana because of my Cradle of Growth, just in case that is something that ends up becoming relevant. Okay, there's some bonus acceleration. Okay, there is the Days Undoing. Do I want to crop rotation for anything? There's nothing that's exactly insane here. Tabernacle is interesting to put a tax on Hull Breacher, but it will be bad with my zombies. I can Boseiju one of my opponent's lands, but like they're gonna have more lands with basic land types, so that may end up being mana fixing in some weird worlds. I think unfortunately that is just going to occur. Alright, and I will just work towards doing cool things with Field of the Dead later. Like my situation's bad, but I can potentially just top deck a mulch effect, make a whole bunch of zombies, and make my opponent's life pretty tricky still. There's worlds where I just eat like, okay, yeah, all right, they are further down the Hull Breacher Stompy category than I gave them credit for. Fairy is fine. Guessing that just bounces that out of play so that they can counter it on the way back down if they want. And not actually taking any damage yet, but life is relatively bad. 3 treasures, 4 treasures, 5 treasures. Alright, just hardcast Echo. Gross. So that gives them a bunch more treasures to work with. Oh, yeah, my opponent's not even going to bother to attack. Okay, yeah. So this is the sort of thing that I need to actually resolve. I do not expect it to. My opponent has 7 cards in hand, right? Oh, it did resolve. Wow. I pick land. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So close. Any other land and I get a 2/2 zombie and I get to start working on pressuring opposing planeswalkers and making it so that something like, I don't know, Karn Mycosynth Lattice Lock doesn't just instantly kill me. Looks like I'm about to get echoed again. Oh shit. As a Seagate Restoration. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So, opponent has some resources to work with. Oh, okay. And opponent just messed up. They played a Seagate Reborn when they meant to cast Seagate Restoration. Gave me a whoops in chat. No, freeze. I think you're still good. Lol. Okay, there's a Narset. And opponent can go fishing for, whatever they need. A Lion's Eye Diamond. Absolutely. I'm still not taking any damage. Like, let the record show. I don't think I want to dredge Life from the Loam because that just gets countered. My opponent has 14 cards in hand. I think I just want to draw lands. Okay, I mean, that card is obviously insane as well. It probably just gets countered by the same logic as, like, the whole Life from the Loam situation. Okay, yeah, force pitching a Fluster. Ooh, opponent's got some end step action. Another Hull Breacher, another Hull Breacher. At this point, I start taking 3 damage a turn until I hit a land drop, at which point I have something I can trade with the Hull Breacher until we get into, like, Teferi Bouncy again. Dark Typhoon. F. Wonder if my opponent plays it out, and then I get to, like, draw a Boseiju and just destroy it, for them playing it out rather than just cycling a giant shark. That would be cool. I would enjoy that. And I would send the screenshot to my friend Brian. Have a good old time. Alright, untap one of those. Take 3 damage. No big deal yet, but that. Try to draw. Alright. I will put my opponent to the test and cast potential draw 4s forever. Please don't force me and get a 5/5 shark. Oh. Yeah, okay. Life's bad. You know what? I think at this point I'm comfortable conceding. Like, I'm taking 6 damage this turn. A lot of damage in the air coming from Shark Typhoons in the future. I'll probably play a couple of blasts, so that's gonna be about it here. I can consider getting cute and playing Endurance as blockers for Hull Breachers. So I do not like crop rotation against counter spells. And I also don't like Tabernacle. That makes me want to play at least 2 Endurances to fill the slots. Flusterstorm's not crazy, but, like, opponent being a Teferi deck makes that kind of awkward. Like, with a Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast, those can at least kill Planeswalkers and stuff that are on board. My Life from the Loams get a bit worse versus, like, Days Undoing and Echo effects causing shuffles. Maybe I just play a couple more Endurance for that reason. I don't know, like, Wasteland Life from the Loam still seems totally reasonable as well. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm gonna keep this, I think. Doesn't exactly do anything, but it's so much mana in play. Just absolutely filthy amounts of mana in play. I think I play the Exploration this turn, and then just, like, tapped Triome, and then go for Manabond next turn. Like, lets me take advantage of both of my cards. I could both Seiju that with the activated ability. I don't hate it. So, like, Manabond, some other random land, Seiju to blow up that land. I don't even know. I don't know if I'm supposed to mana bond those in or, like, hold for a field. I think I'll hold for a field for right now. I won't next turn because, like, next turn, like, there could be the threat of, like, Days Undoing type stuff, and, like, at that point, it's more important for me to have the lands in play for the long term. Fine. Okay. There is a Narset. Yeah, and since I now have to worry about, like, the Days Undoing type situations for next turn, I will probably just go ahead and put this all in play. Like, I can bounce that Narset if I want. Maybe I actually just hold that up. Pretty cute. Like, opponent plays a Days Undoing and I just bounce their Planeswalker. Alright, I've talked myself into that. No to Mana Bond trigger. I assume they will just, like, immediately minus this Narset and go looking. Yep, there we go. There is a Lotus Petal. Okay, let's if bad things happen to me. The new Narset. Okay, it looks like they are playing around an Endurance by not minusing that. I think I just hold this up again. Buddy. I mean, I think I cast it. It's a little awkward because, like, if I cast this and it doesn't resolve, I don't have this available for their combo anymore. I kinda thought I would hit at least one untapped land. Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Damn. That's super awkward. Okay. I'll cast this redundant exploration. And I will begin the zombie parade. I'm absolutely pants down to an Echo of Eon's effect here. My opponent presumably will have the mana to do it this turn. Narset minus to digging. Finding Chalice of the Void of all things. Oh, I guess Chalice on 2 is actually very good against me. Yeah, they agree. That's fair. Damn it. Okay. We'll go ahead and poke a Narset down to 1. And I don't have very many good spells in my deck from now on. This is potentially the 6th mana for an Echo of Eons. LED. I can draw like an Otawara or a Boseiju or something. Take this Chalice out of play and then like try to mulch and produce a bunch of zombies. So there's mana being tapped for something. Is indeed an Echo. I do get 1 card here. It is something with power and toughness. I am down with that. Okay, that's a tapped land. That might be all I'm having to deal with this turn. Now that I have priority, go ahead and attempt this and clear that Echo out of my opponent's graveyard. They opted not to go for it again despite having the LED. That'll poke Narset for a kill. That will start going for life total. On it down to 17. Fine with just playing out another one of these. And my opponent has a full grip. Like, they have a lot of mana. They can do cool stuff. But I might be able to just, like, plod with Field of the Dead zombie tokens. My top decks aren't great. And they can also just do something like play a Shark Typhoon and go to town on me that way. Alright, they found a Days Undoing. Yeah, and these draw sound effects are good against me, but like, I have the power on board that they don't currently. That is not... Nope. Not... Nope. Yeah, cool. Opponent technically could have a Old Breacher that could be flashed into block here. I think I'm going to ignore that timeline. Operate on timelines where things go well for me. Because my opponent like would just flash the whole in end of turn anyway and continue to go off that way. But it's zombie time. Ooh. Opponent is going to do the whole breacher in the end step. Fine. Manabond triggers don't really do anything with when I'm hellbent. Okay. So that's just more mana. Again, I care about things that impact the board, and we have one thing that impacts the board right now. Yeah, again, like, this is fine. Like, this one creates treasure tokens, so it's better than the previous ones, but okay, they have cracked their LED in response. Aether Spouts. Sure. I think cracking the LED is just wrong, right? Because, like, that ends the Spouts is kind of wild to have to worry about. But again, I'm turning shit sideways. Like, you can make a big old shark, you can cast your Aether Spouts or whatever, but like, only cards that matter are cards that impact the board. Like, all your card drawing and mana production means nothing if you're not impacting the board here. Sure, that's a good sign for me. When it goes to 8, I'll get a zombie. One more zombie at the end of the opponent's turn. And opponent has another Hull Breacher, I guess. They do. Yeah. So my opponent's situation here is a classic example of, like, drawing more cards doesn't necessarily mean you win the game. Like, I don't know how many extra cards my opponent has drawn this game. Like, probably somewhere in the order of 21. But, like, I still have the superior board, oddly enough. So, like, they are just drawing cards without drawing control spells like Swords to Plowshares and such that actually negatively impact my board. Kind of fucked up to have to worry about Aether Spouts, but whatever. Eating Pool. Take my zombie. I have reasons to do this pre-combat. Pyroblast exactly, I guess, is... Oh, fuck, Chalice. I have reasons not to do that prior to combat then. Alright. Send him. Yeah. This is 7 damage. Ancient Tomb is now off. Call it a turn. No to Manabond triggers. Yeah. Did we win? Yeah, we won. Do I care about something like of Innocence to specifically get rid of Chalice on 2? I don't think so. Like, I have Boseiju and Otawara to answer those already. Matchup could be slow enough where I actually get to blue, where I could just cast a Mindbreak Trap in the mid game as a 4 mana counterspell that's actually respectable. I don't think Flusterstorm and Mindbreak Trap are crazy, but like again, opponent is a Teferi deck, so like every one of these sorts of cards that I board in just makes that Teferi better against me. My hand's fine. Like I have some mana acceleration, I have some card draw, and I have a Field of the Dead. Like this is the sort of stuff that I am looking for to ultimately win the game with. I have a drop, exploration, the Field of the Dead into play before like I randomly end up losing cards in hand. And next turn I can end up doing cool things with Winding Way and or Manabond. I can also do some really cool things if I draw a Wasteland. Okay, that is another tapped land. Oh yeah, that's a very good draw. I guess I play out both of my lands in hand here to play around a Flusterstorm Winding Way. Yeah, let's do that. Cast a Winding Way. Aim land. A draw 2. I think fetch. Take 2 off Breeding Pool. Pull that card out of the deck so I never draw it. Seems reasonable. Life total isn't really pressured in this matchup. Wasteland them in this phase. If a Hull Breacher comes down. It does. Maybe I was supposed to do the tapped one, actually. Might have messed that up there. Play a Mana Bond, and now I have a decision. I can discard 2 cards to put 2 lands into play. If my opponent has Days Undoing, that's really important for me to do. And if my opponent doesn't have Days Undoing, I don't want to take that line. Yeah, I think I was supposed to leave the Mana Bond more counterable in order to attack their mana for future turns. Yeah, I messed that up. I think the way that I win this game, if they have Days Undoing, is by sacrificing these cards to these. Just like so bad if they don't actually have the Days Undoing. I guess they could also have Echo LED. All right, I'm gonna take the lands into play here. This is hedging against the like worst case scenarios for me. Give me 5 different lands in play, assuming I fetch with 1 Misty. I don't know if that decision is correct. Don't have a ton of reps against Hull Breacher Stompy with Treasure Cruise, you know? Weird because it's such a common legacy matchup, but it is what it is. Yeah, they did not have it. Love this draw. No to that here. Yeah. Okay. You're seeing movement from my opponent. See what this is. An LED. Oh, that's a Displacer Kitten. That's something that I haven't seen before. Okay. So there's also Teferi Displacer Kitten combo in here. Yeah. Alright, so I will cast this. I was really hoping to do some ambushing in combat here. You know what? Send them away. Buy cards. The opponent now has a ton of resources. And drawing into Teferi plus a 0-drop is potentially a kill. Is there an Oracle in there? Or is it just like make a lot of treasures, make a lot of cards, like maybe accidentally win with sharks? The clock is also getting real for my opponent. They're at about 6 minutes on clock, and they're spending a lot of time thinking about decisions. They may time out. Like if we end up in a similar situation to last game, where they're just like drawing cards but not actually putting win conditions into play. Oh, are we in a pass the turn situation? Yeah, we are in a pass the turn situation. Absolutely. I think I am just passing the turn with endurance up, like the ability to cast this endurance. I am trying not to lose this game of random beats from these sorts of creatures. And the more stuff that I hold back, better chances I have of actually making that occur. Another. Oh, it's a Seagate. Sure. Alright, I am going to cast this endurance right now. Just before my opponent has a shit ton more cards in hand. Send that card back into your deck. From there, like, whatever happens, happens. I don't know how long their Displacer Kitten combo kill will take to execute, but the answer may be that they cannot kill me via an infinite combo within 5 minutes. So keeping that in mind, I'm probably not going to F6 their turn anymore. Not getting huge Displacer Kitten value currently, but opponent like absolutely can get into or draw sevens. There's a Lotus Petal, absolutely. I'll blink the Narset, resetting its loyalty. Now Narset can minus and look again. Finding a Shark Typhoon, absolutely. But again, opponent is not killing me, right? Like, nothing currently is impacting my life total. Sure. So they can Lotus Petal, blink Narset again. That's fine. Take another look. So they can go ahead and minus. You get a Shark Typhoon, and that actually starts being scary, right? And they just, like, make sharks while doing all of this stuff. That ends up being a real problem. Okay. There's the Exile, a Day's Undoing. Okay. So we're reaching the past the turn portion, and then next turn they're gonna say Shark Typhoon and try to do cool things. I will try to my own cool things. I don't expect it to resolve. Like, opponent has 11 cards in hand. Oh shit, it did. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be 6, 7 at my end step, and then I can also do fetching. Alternatively, I just hold up both Seiju for the Shark Typhoon that they play out. That's probably better. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I fetch 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think my concern here needs to be not dying rather than trying to actually win the game. Do I attack Narset with both of these? A lot of worlds where I just get cracked back for 5 or maybe 8 for doing that, so I don't know if that's actually correct. I also know my opponent has another Narset. Yeah, wanting to hold this for Shark Typhoon being played out is really awkward. Alright. Play Wasteland. Wasteland my opponent's Ancient Tomb. I think I will play out the field in case of Echo-like situations, and then I'm, like, very unsure about this. Probably don't do it. Like, my opponent can cycle this Shark Typhoon. Just make a 4/4. I think I just pass. Alright. There's Looking with Narset. An LED. Sure. You're getting Blinks Narset. Please play out your Shark Typhoon like I want you to. Please do it. Another Seagate Restoration. Oh, they're chilling. Okay, so they are planning on making something at my end step. That's fine. Go ahead and cast my Mulch. Ooh, Adawara too. That's a rough thing. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah! Lands with the same name are very annoying here. The Adawara is pretty good, though. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, if I fetch once, I can start making zombies. That's fine. Grab like a volcanic island. All right. There's a wasteland. There's a waterlogged grove or 2 Field of the Dead zombies. And I can go ahead and fetch and then create 2 more. A forest. Okay. Again, because of the reach, I think I just hold these back. It's possible I'm supposed to attack 2 things in, but there's also like Aether Spouts to worry about. I think I'm just going to hold up both of these and continue trying to time out my opponent. Not going to do anything with the Manabond trigger. There's mana being sacked for what I assume is a giant shark. Okay, yep, that is. By giant, I mean 3/3, which still doesn't beat endurances. I'm not going to use this. I wonder if opponent got the read on my Boseiju. Okay, have reach. Wondering if my opponent just forgot about. Commit. Sure. I'm good with that. I am fine with the clicks that my opponent is spending on Narset. Yeah, and they're not even activating here. That's all fine with me. I am unsure what to do regarding zombies. Like, if I attack all out, I can just kill this Narset. I just don't know how much that actually matters. I can just, like, produce 1 or 2 more zombies here. I also could just go for my opponent's. I also can just, like, try to continue to win on timeout. Very unsure about this. Let's put some opponents' pressure on their life total as well as their clock. Okay. Have the Aether Spouts. Yeah, sure. That's all fine. Lose a lot for making that attack. I have to put all of these tokens on the top or bottom of my library. That is quite funny. All right, let's Caracas. Make 2 more zombie tokens. Let's Wasteland one of these Tundras out of existence. At this point, I don't think my opponent has enough time for me to care about a bunch of their other stuff, so I'll just Field of the Dead. But I'll hold this one up as insurance. Again, I find it just very difficult to believe that I can lose the game in 30 seconds of my opponent's clock here. There's a Daze So I can bounce this Hull Breacher to my opponent's hand in response. Or the mana to redeploy that. Alternatively, taking out the Displacer Kitten is good, but the line that I took eliminates more permanents. Opponent's got 6 seconds left. Yeah. Exploration. The Rainforest. Pass the turn. Got 5 seconds left. Yeah, I don't think opponent's deck has enough ways to actually win the game in it. Like, yeah, there's your Hull Breacher. And I say that as someone who is playing a Field of the Dead deck, right? So that was a grind, but we are now 2-1. Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm planning on doing a giveaway when I hit 15k YouTube subs, and hopefully that'll happen around the end of the month. Anyway, back to the content. Got a little bit of a thinker opening hand for round 4. I have a Triome, and if that Triome gets wastelanded, I have a bad time. And I also have a second ETB tapped, which means I can't just like treasure hunt and like dump my hand with Manabond early. This hand has all the right stuff, and I'm on the play. I'm just gonna pull this out here. Don't be this person. Don't be this person. Like, ghosting is one of the worst things that you can do in Magic Online community. Like, it ruins the experience for everyone watching the content. It ruins the experience for the streamer. And it means that you are not actually playing a game of Magic. Like, it's one of those, like, you're cheating yourself. You're like, just don't be that person. I'm not sure. I think I'm supposed to play Exploration over Manabond here, but it's possible I'm supposed to play a Manabond and use that as fourth fodder. Yeah. Now I'll play a tapped Field of the Dead. A little bit of a rough spot. Opponent's going. Alright. So go ahead and play a Mulch effect here in an attempt to hit my next land drop. Field of the Dead and a Wasteland. My Wasteland's not doing a lot right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do a tapped Field of the Dead. It is a card that happens to have the same name as something else I already have in play, which is not great. But see where that goes. I think if I get going, I will absolutely overwhelm my opponent. It's just like the question of like, is this Triumph going to get wastelanded before I find another green? Just end up in a much safer situation. Opponent's playing a lot of basics, which makes me think they are not just on a straight Delver style build. Crop rotation is interesting. I think I am just supposed to continue to cast these effects though. Land more Field of the Dead. What the fuck? Awkward. I don't think I play the third one. I think I get some land name diversity here. Definitely afraid of just like getting Murktided. That's annoying. I technically have access to cards that stop that. Wonder if I am mana bonding this turn. Cast a Mulch and make the decision from there. 2, 3, 4. Or sorry, I should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really? 1, 2. Oh no, I have double wastelands as well. 1, 2, 4, 5. Only 6 different names. Oh, I did hit an Uro for my graveyard. That's cool. I have some very unusual lines that I can take involving a crop rotation. Very bad versus a counter spell, though. Very, very, very bad. I take it anyway. Crop rotation, sacrifice a wasteland, grab a Gavamaya, play Manabond, play another Manabond. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I will use the Manabond trigger. Triggers! Nuke your graveyard. Play Field of the Dead. Fuck you for trying to ghost me. Alright. I didn't actually see that many cards from my opponent. I'm going to assume that there's like Murktide Regents and shit in my opponent's deck list, which makes Endurances and Pyroblast / Red Blasts a little bit more attractive. I like Crop Rotation for finding my utility lands, but they're so bad versus counterspells that I'm not sure that I'm actually supposed to play them versus just like filling my deck with more goodies. I will need to make 3 more cuts from here, and I'm unsure what those cuts should be. Probably trim the Raucous, like really good. My whole Uro situation. From there, I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to play the Pyroblast on Red Elemental Blasts. I'm having trouble figuring out what to cut for them, but like those cards answering a Murktide Regent, assuming my opponent plays that, or answering an Expressive Duration is really good. Like, I kind of want to cut this Sokenzin, but like it's a red source cards, which I'm bringing in, I think. Could go down on like Treasure Hunt or Mulch or something, or go down on like a Manabond or Exploration. Manabonds get a little worse if I'm bringing in more cards like these that I want to sit on. But like Manabond is also the way that I create a billion zombies like what I just did. This opening hand is slow, but has value and has an endurance. I think I will keep this, but I'm not sure if that's actually correct. I'm just going to play this so that I can't get wastelanded in the turn cycle here. I'm probably intending on just, like, playing a Winding Way into a counter spell. Uro can potentially be my counter spell bait next turn, actually. Now let's get this tapped Field of the Dead out of the way. And then I can just, like, play this fair game with Uro and Endurances and stuff. I play Uro if I miss a green drop. Otherwise, like, if I hit a green land, I just pass the turn and play Endurance. Yeah, this is fine. Batch. Suck to randomly get stifled. I think I need to get a basic forest here. It makes flashing Uro back a little bit more awkward, but I cannot get wastelanded off of green right now. Just, like, way too horrific if that happens. I'll take the immediate 6 life, absolutely. Okay, and I do hit another green horse. I will put the Wooded Foothills into play, and I can use that to fetch a tapped breeding pool at end of turn. Or maybe the cycle land. Your Narset is fine. Absolutely. I know I have to deal with a Force of Will now. I will go ahead and fetch one of my tapped lands. I don't see myself needing to cycle, especially against a Narset here, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab the Triome. This is so much endurance. There's also worlds where I make some haste tokens and attack a Narset, but I don't think I like that. I wish I had more green mana. There's a greedy line where I play a Mulch. Maybe it's not that greedy. Like, if I play a Mulch effect and hit... Woo! Yeah. Anyway, and hit untapped green source, it's quite good for me. This is an untapped green source. I am fine with doing this now. It, like, telegraphs for, like, things like Prismatic Ending, but I'm okay with that. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands in hand. I have made my land drop for turn. Okay, and are we going to see just end of turn Plowshares on my Endurance to use mana? Yes, that's fine. Maybe discard a Wasteland here. Like, my lands are more valuable in play generating zombies than anything else. A new Narset, absolutely. Yep, that's fine. I will grind through that stuff with Field of the Dead, assuming no Wasteland happens. Fine. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. This awkward card for my opponent that they probably have to answer. Probably gets their force of will. Nope. Okay. I mean, that represents a lot of power. I don't know that I want to discard my hand in order to deal with that, though. My hand is so strong right now. Yeah. Might just go ahead and, like, play this past the turn, do an end of my opponent's turn endurance. All that good. Although if I was going to do that, I shouldn't have played out the Manabond. Oh, I see. Had Tear. That's fine. I'm very good with the current situation. Brainstorm, that's fine. At some point, I need to think about casting this Endurance to clear my opponent's graveyard. I'm going to do it in response to a fetch from Scalding Tarn, because opponent doesn't currently have blue going. There is my Endurance. Just clear that graveyard. That's something like a Murktide Regent is not a problem. Aggressive Iteration is totally fine. This is leaving up poor mana for that card. I don't know that they were supposed to cast that Expressive Iteration this turn. Yeah, they hit a Source of Plowshares for it, so, like, it's fine. There's a Red Elemental Blast. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so Maze of Ith starts representing, or Otawara, if I played that, starts representing zombies. I have 2 mana for Winding Way. I have 3 mana for Endurance. That also leaves up Pyroblast. So I am good with all of that. Land. There's another Field of the Dead. Yeah, I'll just play that out this turn and start getting zombies next turn instead. I am basically hoping to dodge card Blood Moon if my opponent plays exactly that card. That card would be just incredibly powerful here. And there's not a lot that I can do about it without a ThrabenU in hand. Well, I guess this bounces enchantments. So actually that's not true. But I can't, like, Otawara with Red Elemental Blast backup. Something that I would very much like to do. Alright, end of turn, there's an Endurance. Okay, this potentially gets hardcast Force of Will. If it does... Oh, it's Mystic Sanctuary. Sure. That's fine. Hardcast Force of Will. So I know they have Expressive Iteration on top of their library. I can counter that, or I can counter this. I think I'm going to just counter this. And just, like, take out this Narset. So that I don't have to worry about a random Days Undoing really just fucking with me. I want to dredge Life from the Loam. Not really. Like, I want to spike a Manabond or Exploration. Back Narset. Narset is dead. Cast a Winding Way. Land. I can play Uro. Blue, blue, green, green. I would be dropping Otawara. If I drop Otawara with this much power in play, I think I'm just okay anyway. Just awkward if Uro gets countered and I don't waste my opponent. Probably fine. Do some yielding. Fetch. Oh, I can grab, like, an island. Yeah, I still have all my right colors, and I play around Blood Moon better. Fine. Blue, blue, green, green. Dunk a bunch of spells. Grab Uro. Has resolved. I don't want to dredge Life from the Loam. I have other cards that I want to hit. Nice. Here's my Wasteland. I have Exploration for the not too distant future. And I will Wasteland land out of play. I still have Otawara for something big and scary that gets into play. I have Uro coming back and Field of the Dead plus Life from the Loam if my opponent has, like, a Supreme Verdict type card. I absolutely cast your Expressive Iteration. Yeah, again, Supreme Verdict, not scary on current board. Got Life from the Loam now. Green, blue. Yeah, I can Life from the Loam. Fine, draw at this point. Cast an Exploration. Life from the Loam. Target field, ThrabenU. Fetch land. A 1 has resolved. Okay, this. I could have actually played Field first. That would have been better. Oops. Okay. Go ahead and fetch a green source. Take a basic. Go ahead and deploy an Uro. Again, junking cards I can't really ever bring back. The exploration was scarier than the Uro. Just like lethal damage from Fields of the Dead. I can just like keep doing this every turn with Life from the Loam exploration now. Not to mention that like Uro just keeps coming back too. Hey, you know, maybe if you spent some time trying to get better at Magic and actually playing the game instead of asking every one of your opponents if they are streaming so that you can look at their hand, maybe your results would be better. Just saying. Okay, I have no card draw, no acceleration in this hand. This one, easy mulligan for me. This one is a keep. I think the crop rotation is the riskiest card in this hand. I believe I am going to go ahead and just throw that back. If my opponent were randomly to be playing Stifle, I would lose to it. Absolutely throwing that out there, like a Stifle on this fetch land game. I think despite having Uro, I think I just want the mana-based stability versus an unknown blue opponent. Also possible I'm supposed to wait one turn to like play around Daze here, just like operating under the assumption that we are playing against Delver. But it has worked out. The next turn I can attempt Treasure Hunt or Uro, kind of depending on what information I get from my opponent's land drop or other plays. That feels like Doomsday. Okay. That absolutely feels like Doomsday. Okay, I'm going to lose a Treasure Hunt. And I probably cast my other Treasure Hunt around Daze on the next turn. I am starting to get Storm vibes instead, seeing Duress. Uh-huh. I am going to play Treasure Hunt right now because it lets me double Wasteland. But if I don't play out these lands, I can potentially get Spell Pierced. Yeah. Fine. I accept that. Like, playing towards the line where I get to play 2 late Wastelands, destroy both of those lands, is really good. I am, like, very much not interacting with most of what my opponent is doing. And my needle has pointed them back towards Doomsday after seeing Flusterstorm. Quick 1 bottom, 1 top. And that's going to be Dark Ritual Doomsday. Sure. With very few other exceptions, I basically just have Wastelands that interact with my opponent. I think my opponent just builds a pile that involves artifact mana that allows them to cast their cards, and they're good. Okay, my opponent has finally resolved their Doomsday pile. And take a quick look at the cards here. There's a couple of fairies in here. Baleful Strix. No personal tutors. There's a consider LED. So I'm not seeing like the street wraiths sort of stuff. So that's probably what my opponent built their pile with. Grab a tapped Triome. So very few cards that matter here as draws. Crop rotation gets a wasteland. Crop rotation gets a wasteland. That's the best line that I have. So I can play Uro first. I don't see any dazes here. I do unfortunately only see 3 Force of Wills. I'm going to attempt an Uro first, attempt to redraw into a Wasteland while my deck has the highest possible Wasteland density. Okay. Not Wasteland. Fine with sacrificing that. Now I'll go ahead and play a Crop Rotation, sacrificing a Caracas. And my opponent's last 2 cards are Force of Will blue card. Classic. Played a bait spell first. Notably, opponent does have Unearth. Can be used for pretty interesting piles. There's 2 mana, cycle Edge of Autumn. I assume we'll see a couple of Street Wraith activations. Die of the Oracle. Yeah. This is not the sort of matchup that I want to play. So let's see what we can do about this in post sideboard games. My opponent's pile was sloppy in that, like, if I had been playing a Punishing Fire build, like, I could have beaten them on that there. Alright, for Endurance, mess with piles, Surgicals, maybe mess with piles, Pyroblasts, maybe mess with some of my opponent's stuffs. Like, I have a bunch of cards that I can board in that do stuff. It's just that, like, none of these things are, like, overly game-winning. Maze of Ith and Tabernacle can absolutely go out. Life from the Loam, although Life from the Loam rebuying Wasteland is cool, Life from the Loam just feels really low. I think I board those out. Yukabog feels pretty medium. So do a couple of the other utility lands, but like I don't want to board out too many lands. Like I just at the end of the day do need the different names for Field of the Dead a lot of the time. Crop rotation is basically just for Wasteland. Crop rotation is more copies of Wasteland, which is okay, but if I want to bring in all of these other counterspells, like some other stuff has to go. And if I want this stuff that I hold in hand, that probably means that mana bonds go. That slows me down a bit. These are wastelands. Is that good? Like opponent knows to play around wasteland now, and will have some number of basics, but like at the end of the day, they do need to get to black, black, black. Probably have to leave the Uros in the deck in case I randomly get Surgical on Field of the Dead or something. So I am bringing in a couple Endurances that I can just win the game with instead. Like these are also bad versus counterspells. Unsure. I just don't think this matchup's good. And has 3 sideboard cards. I will probably aggressively Red Elemental Blast like a Ponder or something like that this game. Okay. I do need more land drops, so that probably does mean I need to cast one Winding Way or this turn. A Trop with the first one. I want Taiga or Volcanic Island. I want Taiga. Need green endurance. Head. And cast a Winding Way. Very well might just eat a Flusterstorm or equivalent card here. But I'm good with that. Yep, that's fine. I need to cast it in order to try and make my land drops for next turn. Like I'm just good with it. Ponder away. Okay. There's a Scrubland. Are we doing the whole Dark Ritual thing? No, we are not. I think I need to cast this again. I think I need to make land drops if I want to win this game. And Jesus. Okay. I would now officially categorize myself as in danger. Wow. Mentor is horrifying. I have boarded out a lot of my cards that are going to be good against that. Like I boarded out Tabernacle, and I'm just like missing land drops here. Yeah, like I'm so prepared versus the combo side, and I think I'm stone cold dead if this gets countered. Caracas. All right. So I have a lot of hate for Doomsday. A lot of hate for Doomsday. Not gonna meet this mentor though. Yeah. Build all those triggers. Yeah, this is a good sideboard juke. Like they got me. Tricks is fine. I will Mind Break Trap literally whatever spell my opponent plays. Spell for turn period. Literally no matter what it is. Go and get some value. My cards here. This is probably Endurance on my opponent's turn with a Red Elemental Blast as backup. But my situation's pretty damn bad here. I just blast this. Maybe I just blast this. Like, I just need my opponent to stop. Because once we start getting to a couple more spells, start getting to the point endurance is not a reason blocker in combat anymore. I think if I just let them rattle off a handful of cantrips, it doesn't go well for me. Okay, this is Prismatic Ending on a token. Just purely to increase the amount of damage that is done this turn. Of course, the Plowshares on the token. Well, getting rid of those cards doesn't actually really help me, right? I can play Endurance as a chump blocker to survive the turn, but that very obviously not where I want to be. If it resolves, I'll clear my opponent's graveyard. I will soak up as much damage as I can here. But without Tabernacle in my deck, I just don't really think I can win from this position. I don't think I have any outs. I'll draw a card, see if that like change something somehow. I don't think it does. I just can't think of any way that I can win. Name land. Yeah. Unseed. Good sideboard juke is good, and we just end up with the 3. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Pretty good, honestly. This one gets a thumbs up from me. There were occasional hands where the mana was a bit awkward. Ballpark, we've mulliganed 2 or 3 hands due to not having green sources, and maybe roughly 3 times having lands with the same name came up for Field of the Dead. But the mana base wasn't that bad. I like a lot of what's here. I wonder how competitive this deck list is with a larger sample size. Like, there are going to be some matchups that are going to be very bad, and there's going to be some matchups that are very good, right? Like, if we are just playing against something fair, we have all the tools in the world to grind through traditional fair stuff, but matchups versus combo feel pretty tough, like with Doomsday in that final round there. So I just kind of wonder how that shakes out. I ground through a lot of stuff, and it just felt like I had more card advantage than the expressive iteration decks, which is saying something. There might be something real here. I will say there's a decent amount of variance here with some of these cards. Like, we definitely had the hit 4 with Winding Way moments, and we also had the, like, whiff on Treasure, or, well, you can't really whiff on Treasure Hunt, you always get a card, but, like, whiff on Winding Way moments. Yeah, I don't think I have any major suggestions for the deck after this. I would be paying attention to mana base and maybe thinking about some of the little things. For example, like, do you want 2 Wooded Foothills? Like, Wooded Foothills is something that fetches both Basic Forest and Volcanic Island, so, like, that definitely matters. Like, to a Boseiju, for example, not having different names came up in one round. So, like, there's little things to think about, but overall, like, this one gets a thumbs up to me. Like, well done, Chad, on putting together a decent deck. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps a lot. And if you end up wanting to try out this deck list or get one of your own decks on the channel, that information is available in the video description. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!